Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Monday morning. Welcome, everybody, to a new week on Hot Mic on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV, KNBN, and Inforum.com on the second Monday of August, the 10th of 2026. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a new week. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend, enjoyed pretty mild weather out there, and locked and loaded here for a new week on the big show as we creep ever closer to the start of a new football season. We've got NFL preseason games happening this week. We have high school football games happening in a week and a half's time in the state of North Dakota, and then we're off to college football as well by the end of the month. So enjoy the last, as I had someone say to me, oh, you haven't got many free Saturdays left when I was out this weekend, and that is absolutely correct. I have now 2 left before the start of a new football season, and looking forward to that. A lot to get to today. It's a Monday, goes without saying, to recap everything that went down. It was pretty quiet locally. We had other stuff happening, but this is likely the last quiet sporting weekend we had here in the FM Metro. Not to exclude anything happening on the tertiary areas of what we cover, but here in town, it was pretty quiet. That'll be over here in the next couple days because seasons are getting started in the upcoming week, which will keep us busy for the distant future, as far as I can tell. I was reminded, though, this weekend that there are so many bigger things happening in everyone's lives, myself included in that. And I'll explain more later in the week. Today's not the right forum for it. I want to let things happen this week, and I'll get to it before we're done with the week. But it reminds me always, sometimes what I think is the biggest things going, specifically what has to do with our show and putting together our show and wanting our show to look the best it can each and every day. It's like a 2x4. Life comes above the side of your head and reminds you, well, how important actually is it? And it, not to diminish what we do every day, because I think it is important. But there's just, life happens. Life happens. And having to explain some things, especially to a 7-year-old, is really, really hard. And that just constant reminder on that it's just, there's bigger things going on than a score or something that you want to be, a tape isn't played at the right time, or the camera, whatever. Not to, again, to diminish, that's not important, but it just, in the grand scheme of things, it just isn't. So I'm dealing with things. Things will be okay, but be a tough week. But we'll get through it, and I'll expound on that later in the week. I promise. We have a lot to unpack here today. We had a couple of scrimmages over now, granted, if we were going back to how quiet it was, if we were allowed into said scrimmages, specifically up at Bison football, this would have been a totally different weekend. I'd say we got a big weekend. But since we can't, and I'll just reminisce on the old days that we used to be able to shoot them. Think about that. There was a time, I can distinctly remember, 2011, 2012, that I'd be positioned up at the Dome, typically at the Dome, sometimes at Dakota Field, and to record the Bison football scrimmages, plural, that were happening during fall camp. That all has been over for a long time now. That's like ancient history. People can't even process the fact that we had cameras that are allowed in there. Because then, all right, I got some definite things happen here. I could talk about this. I saw this happen. Here's who's playing here. That, long gone. Because we were chatting about that on Friday's show. And if you missed anything that we did up in Bison Media Day, that's all available. And on the Forum YouTube page is also available on WDAY Plus. If you missed any of that, it's great stuff. For the 3 hours we were up there, we interviewed close to 15 people, whether it was coaches or players. So it was a ton of fun and took a lot out of that. But that was anticipation of the scrimmage they were holding on Saturday. And out of that, likely some positions are going to be determined, likely some playing time going to be determined, and now it's up to me to try and ferret out what other kind of information there was out of on Saturday. So we'll do that in the coming days, but Bison have another practice today that is open to the media, so we'll be up there. We'll get some comments from the head football coach on what went down on Saturday and pass it along on our program coming up tomorrow. But as we sit here today, we're officially 17 days out from the start of the season. August 27th, you'll remember, there are games that Thursday night. University of North Dakota plays on that Thursday night. Minnesota State University Moorhead plays on that Thursday night. So we're going to talk about both those football programs on our show this morning. So looking forward to that. Now, as we sit here also on the 10th of August with 6 weeks to go in the Major League Baseball season, the Minnesota Twins are 3 games under 500. Typically, I'd say that's not our lead story. The Twins are out of it. They are buried in the wild card race and not going to have. Well, in 2026, 3 games under 500 means you're right in it. And if you were to go back over the last week, if they flip 3 of the games they've lost, right? We're talking about a team a couple games over 500 and maybe in the division lead. As it is, the Twins wake up this morning with 5 one-run losses over the last week. Think about that again. 5 one-run defeats. I know they bolstered their bullpen at the trade deadline, but if they end up coming a game or 2 games short, look back at this last week at what maybe sent things awry in 2026. They were wrapping up their series with the Brewers yesterday. The ace of aces, Jacob Misarowski, was pitching yesterday for Milwaukee, which automatically draws a huge crowd, not only in the stands, but watching on television. This guy also demands a huge crowd. Jackson Churio, who's just been a stud since he arrived in the major leagues, goes to the opposite field off Connor Prelip to start things. Gets the Brewers out to a 1-0 lead. Then this guy did his thing. I mean, when he's throwing 102, there's no time to react. The ball is on you before you can even do anything. The Twins did something, though, on the top of the 5th. Brooks Lee hits his career high in home runs. That's a bomb, his 17th of the year. Ties the game up at 1. It didn't stay tied for long. Remember this name. Jake Bowers goes the opposite way for a home run off Prelip. It's 2-1 Milwaukee in the 5th. David Hamilton would add things here. This is into the gap in right center. That goes for a double. Plates a run. Brewers would take a 3-1 lead through 5 innings. Misarowski, meanwhile, was doing his stuff until, again, he gave up 2 bombs. This one, Cody Clemens. Cody Clemens has 20 home runs for the Minnesota Twins. If I were to put that money down in Vegas in March, I'd be a millionaire. We're tied up at 3. Same score. Top of the 6th. Get ready for 2 amazing catches out in right field. That is sensational. Luis Lara made 2 of these. This is even his best one. That's really darn good to keep the game tied in the 6th inning. We stay tied into the 10th. Clemens up. Remember that name. Lara goes, watch this one, folks. Spider-Man into the wall and comes up with it. Just fantastic. That is not an easy play, and it hurt as well. Keeps the game tied. Bottom of the 10th. That man Bowers up again off Yandres Gomez. Again goes the opposite way. That will plate the game-winning run. And once again, the Twins are walked off Remember, it happened back-to-back times in Seattle. It happens twice in Milwaukee. The Brewers win it 4-3 in 10. You can see again, Milwaukee's a solid 30 games over 500 now after yesterday's win. Mizorowski struck out 9 in 6 innings of work. Connor Prelip went 5. He struck out 7. Again, they're going to limit his innings over the final 6 weeks of the season. Nance, Minter, Morris, Funderburk, and Gomez went out of the pen after that. But the Twins lose 2 of 3 at Miller Park. It's still Miller Park to me. I don't care whatever the new name of the stadium is. So the Central standings look like this on this Monday morning. Chicago with a 3.5 game lead on Detroit. You heard me right, folks. Detroit. The Tigers, after trading Tarek Skubal, have now decided to save their season. They are right in the American League Central race. The Twins are a half game back of the Tigers, sitting 4 back as they've lost 2 in a row. Then the Guardians in the AL Central. The wild card is a jumbled mess. If you thought the Central was bad, the wild card standings aren't any better. Yankees and Red Sox are comfortably in, right? That's it. Tampa, the Yankees, and Boston are going to represent the American League East in the postseason. Texas is a game up on the Tigers. Again, Detroit had folded the tent. It was over. And now they are 7-3 in their last 10 games. They are going to be heard from in this race. Then the Twins, then the Guardians, both a game and a half back. And by the way, the team right behind Baltimore or behind Minnesota is Baltimore, and that's who the Twins have tonight, starting a 3-game set at Target Field. It's a really tough weekend. I mean, Milwaukee is, once again, they are the best team in the National League a season ago, and obviously couldn't advance to the World Series. Here they are again, loaded for, I mean, this is 3 years in a row. 2024, they were really good. The Mets knocked them out in 24. Last year, outstanding season. They get through the Cubs in the opening round. We know what happened. The Dodgers got them in the NLCS, and now here they are. Again, 30 games over 500. They got the best record in baseball. Can they get over that last hump? The Dodgers, I know, are slumping, and they made the trade. It's ironic. Skubal goes from Detroit to L.A. The Tigers surge. Skubal comes to the Dodgers, and the Dodgers go in the tank. We'll see. We still got a lot of baseball left. As for the Twins, we'll talk about more of that in the best of the weekend. They did make a couple of roster moves. They may not be done in roster moves, considering obviously we know September 1 that the rosters expand by a couple of spots if they will do that. But they got to start closing out games here because you can't lose 5 one-run games and hope that's going to be enough because teams are finding ways to win. You can't lose 2 or 3 to the Royals. That's not good. They lost a 1-run game, and you can't lose Joe Ryan starts. I know Ryan's on the IL right now, but Corey Provis talked to us about this last year, a couple years ago. Anytime that Tarek Skubal started, the Tigers had to win, which they did down the stretch to hold off the Guardians. You remember Cleveland had that remarkable comeback last year to eventually make the postseason. Now the Tigers got the last laugh as they beat Cleveland in that opening round, but those are the kind of defeats. You mark that one down when we get to September 15th, September 20th. If they're a game or 2 games back, those are the kind of losses that are going to add up and really hurt you, and you're trying to chase down some teams. More Twins talk here in just a little bit. The other big item over the weekend, the Minnesota Lynx, as we have a month left in the regular season. This reminder, by the way, that the WNBA season is breaking in early September for the FIBA Women's World Cup, which will encompass the best women's players. It's a mini Olympic tournament, basically, that's going to be taking place. That's why the regular season is going to go so long, and the playoffs are going to go till, I would think, to the NBA season begins, if I have my calendar correct. But the Lynx had a monster weekend. They had 2 nationally televised games, back-to-back home games, with Las Vegas and Dallas coming to Minneapolis. The Lynx took care of Vegas on Saturday. No rest for the weary. Had a couple hours of extra rest because they played a noon game Saturday. They had a 2:30 game yesterday at Target Center to face Paige Beckers and the Dallas Wings. And Olivia Miles has been the story all year. Nafisa Collier being back. Kayla McBride has just gone out there and balled all year. And yesterday was a WNBA record performance that she put in. Highlights of their game with Dallas from Target Center. Number 21 was the star of the show yesterday against Dallas. Started the first half, cans a three, puts her team down by 1. Miles, she has such a quick release. Hits that three right before the halftime horn. Puts Minnesota up by 2. Lynx are up 5. McBride somehow hits that one into the bench on Lindsay Whalen. Tremendous shot. It's a 6-point lead. Here comes Dallas, though. Paige Beckers with a pull-up jumper. Cuts it to 4. Late stages of the third. Kick out. Collier gets the home roll on the 3. Lynx have the lead going into the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter was crazy. McBride was unconscious in this game. The drive and dish, cans a 3. They're up by 8, 3 minutes in. Later, catch, shoot, good. It's that easy. Lead is 11, gets away. How about one more in your eye hole? Another 3 there. That's her 9th 3 of the game. That ties a WNBA record. She's wide open. You no doubt she's going to jack it. Drills that a 10th 3 to set a new WNBA record. She goes for 43 points in the game. How about just for style there? Miles drains one more. She had 20. The story, though, is Kayla McBride. 10 threes, 43 for the game. The Lynx clinch a playoff spot in the process as they beat Dallas by the final count of 103-90. Beckers should not be forgotten. She had 23 and 8 in this game for Dallas in her homecoming game, but this was all about what the Lynx did yesterday to get to 27 and 7. McBride, what a fabulous game. New record. And yeah, we talk about, obviously, Olivia Miles is the story, I think, of the year in the WNBA. She's not only the Rookie of the Year, I think she's going to be the MVP. I don't have a vote, but that's who I'd vote for. All this talk on Collier has been out. Meanwhile, McBride might be the third best player in the NBA, or the WNBA. 16 of 21 from the field, 10 of 14 from 3 yesterday, and it's going for 43. Miles had 20, Collier had 11, Natasha Howard had 12. That's all you need. Lynx are now 27 and 7 on the year. They play the Portland Fire coming up later this week. That game on Wednesday night out on the West Coast. But they're already assured the playoff. Now they're going for, obviously, number 1 seed, make sure they're got home court throughout the WNBA postseason. Fun to watch there. Good stuff. We have a packed show coming up for you here on this Monday morning. We'll salute our best of the weekend. We'll do that in just a few minutes. At 9:35, we'll be visiting with North Dakota State quarterback Trey Drake, the other side of the Avery Coonan engagement. You'll hear from him on Popping the Big Question to the Bison standout women's basketball player, and we'll chat some football with Trey, entering his 4th year already at NDSU. That's coming up at 9:35. At 10 o'clock, you'll meet MSUM's quarterback commit for the class of 2027. We saw him play up here last year when Wayzata took on Moorhead. Wayzata's Thor Soukup will join us at 10 o'clock. He committed to the Dragons over the weekend. We'll check a little Wayzata football. They get Moorhead coming to their place this upcoming fall, and chat some 6A ball as well. That's coming up at 10 o'clock. And at 10:35, Tom Miller will check in from UND football practice as the Fighting Hawks start week 3 of camp. We mentioned we're just 17 days out from the Fighting Hawks opener, how things are developing there between a couple position battles, and waiting on some potential guys to return as well with the NCAA eligibility cases on Avery Scott and Johnny Wiltshire. We'll update everything with Tom before we wrap things up at 10:35. That's coming up later this morning. So a lot to get to here on a busy Monday morning. We'll take our first break. We come back. We'll salute our best of the weekend we saw over the last couple days, including the Fargo Little Leaguers are still playing. We'll update that and much more. We're off and rolling on a Monday morning. Hot Mike returns on WDAY Extra right after this. All right, best of the weekend time. We do it each and every Monday in this time slot. Lots to unpack from the weekend. So as we wrapped up Bison Media Day coverage on Friday, Bat Phone was filled with emails from the Minnesota Twins considering they made a couple of roster moves. And anytime a top prospect gets called up in baseball, it's so unique to that sport. It doesn't happen in hockey because typically the top prospects are playing right away, right? If you're the number one pick, you're playing with a team right away. Football, obviously, it happens. Basketball, baseball is the only one where if you're the number one pick or a first-round pick, that we have to wait to see you. So we've heard the name Kalen Culpepper for the last couple of years. They drafted him out of Kansas State, high-profile player there that performed really well in college baseball. His time in minor league ball, he was hitting the cover off the baseball. So when the news came Friday that the Twins were calling him up because their shortstop play is what it is. I mean, Ryan Kreidler has been a really nice defensive player. Not necessarily the future of that position, that there is some buzz about it. So he gets called up on Friday for the Twins opener against the Brewers in Milwaukee. And, of course, as luck would have it, Derek Shelton, of course, penciled him the starting lineup, which is exciting in its own right. So he comes up to bat Friday night. He'd already been at bat once, second time up at the plate, still looking for his first hit. And lo and behold, they're in the middle of an interview, by the way, the Twins broadcast, that Culpepper hammers this pitch with Dean Kramer on, who's one of their new additions, hammers one out to left field for a home run. Of course, his family, everybody got there just in time to see him. Not everybody made it from what he said afterwards. But to have your first major league hit come in your first game, and it's a home run, I mean, the only thing you're missing out is your first hit or first at bat was a home run. And joins a pretty exclusive group of Twins, by the way, to homer in their major league debuts. This is from the Star Tribune, found this. Rick Rennick did it in July 11th, 1968 at shortstop. Hal Hadel, right-handed pitcher, did it in 1970. Eric Soderholm in 1971. Somebody you may know, Kent Herbeck did it August 24th, 1981 against the Yankees. A solo home run off George Frazier. Tim Laudner, future All-Star, did it. Gary Gaetti did it. All of those guys in 1981. Here's a name we heard a lot. Luke Hughes did it. April 28, 2010. Luke Hughes was going to be a big deal as well. That didn't materialize. Hit that off Max Scherzer. He's got that to brag about, though, forever. Eddie Rosario did. I remember that one. May 6, 2015, off former Met great Scott Kazmir. Jake Cave did it. May of 2018, off Freddie Peralta, another former Met great. Matt Wallner, he's certainly going to be a former Twin great. His first home run came September the 17th, 2022, off Shane Bieber, and then Culpepper is the most recent to do that. Wallner gave a real, if we have time for that later, maybe in the second hour of the show, gave an unbelievable interview this weekend about his future. Really, you don't hear professional athletes open up that much. That's coming up. We'll make sure we get that. But Culpepper joins that list. Staying on the diamond, also on Friday, the Fargo Little Leaguers, we had their coaches here in studio last Tuesday, I want to say, before they headed out to Indianapolis. We mentioned their opening game, they matched up with the team from Iowa, who might be the best team in the regional. They won 13-0. Not ideal. So they had to go into the losers bracket. They came back and played yesterday against the team from Kearney, Nebraska. Now, they have to win this game or the season is donezo. And they fell behind in the game yesterday. But then the Bats woke up, trailing 1-0 in the second. Remember, they only play 6 innings. They woke up in a big-time way here, in a 2-run double that got things started. Got up 3-1. They were mashing it yesterday. Later, this is in the third inning, 2 more runs they're going to come in to score. Made it 5-1. I love how well they hit the ball here. Which, granted, they were no hit for the better part of their game against Iowa on Friday. Another hard hit ball here. That made it 7-1. Now, the Nebraska team, they got up eventually 8-1. The Nebraska team made this dicey in the bottom of the 6th inning. They got 3 runs coming to score, but this was the final out on a laser beam to first to make the final out of the game. And the Fargo kids win it 8-4 to stay alive. They are playing as we speak now against Whitefish Bay, Wisconsin, in another elimination game. They have to win. They have to win everything now if they want to go to Williamsport. Fargo teams have been in this battle before, and they're going to have to slug it out here. And we'll update you on that game as it goes along. Great to see the amount of fan support they had there as well on the game on Friday and the game that played yesterday. And they're playing again early this morning out in Indianapolis, just outside of Indianapolis in the Midwest Regional. That's going to dominate. If you're watching ESPN at all this week, you're going to see a ton of Little League baseball on because the regionals are all over television between now and Friday to determine who goes to Williamsport because that starts next week, which is crazy to say that out loud. Lastly, this is a best of the weekend by association. Concordia hired, I want to say in the last couple months, longtime baseball coach Keith Bateman now is their associate athletic director, help out with Rachel Bergeson over in Moorhead. Keith, a longtime coach, I believe at Concordia St. Paul for a long, long time. His son is Brett Bateman, who has been moving up the minor leagues with the Toronto Blue Jays and eventually got called up by the Blue Jays to make his Major League debut, which happened on Friday night when the Blue Jays were playing in Philadelphia. Another great spot. You're going to make your Major League debut. It's pretty special anywhere, but in Philly, that's all right. Citizens Bank Park. And Brett got there just in time to see this unfold for his son, who cracks this off Zach Wheeler, another former Met great. Nearly hit a home run just like Culpepper did. How about a Major League double in his debut? The Batemans got there just in time to see it. The first pitch he saw, he didn't wait. He connected. That's awesome stuff. Congratulations to the Bateman family. We got a chance to get out there and see everything happen there in person. For Keith, for Brett, their entire family. Honestly, that is a family event. The highlight and the notoriety is going to go to the player, but nobody makes it there on their own. Just doesn't happen. So it's awesome. You saw the Culpepper family react, and clearly the Bateman family. Shout out to our guy, Big E, Eric Peterson's got a story on that. If you missed it, inforum.com. It's really, really cool. And to hear of the exploits they had to get from Minneapolis to Philly, well worth it to see that in person, what transpired at Citizens Bank Park on Friday night. That's our best of the weekend. We do it each and every Monday. Feel free to send those in. That was good stuff there of what went down out in Philly. All right, we'll break. We come back. We'll visit with Bison quarterback Trey Drake about football and now about engagement as he's getting engaged, has got engaged to Bison basketball standout Avery Coonan. That's coming up when we return on Hot Mic on WDAY Extra right after this.
This is Hot Mic with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
Welcome back, everybody. Off and rolling here on a Monday morning. No Kolpak here today. He'll be back with us next week as we get closer to the start of a Bison football season, which we teased off the top of the show, that had its first of 2 scrimmages on Saturday up at NDSU as they get closer to the start of the season with the opener with Jacksonville State. And we'll have much more coverage on Jack State coming in the next 10 to 15 days as well to get you ready for a really good football team. We talked about the preseason poll, the coaches poll that came out last week. Jack State got votes in that. So, again, if they don't have your attention, I'm not sure what else to do here. We talked about ticket sales last week. I don't know what else to tell you. That's a pretty darn good football team that's going to be coming here in 19 days to start a new season. Part of that new season for the Bison quarterbacks, a new look there. Obviously, we talked plenty on Nathan Hayes is going to be the guy. We had Nathan on our show on Friday. If you missed that, and go back and podcast that. It was good stuff with QB1. QB2 is intriguing because when I was up at practice last Monday, a week ago today, Preston Brown was getting quite a bit of reps with the number 2s. He and Trey Drake were trading off. I think there's maybe the assumption that Drake is definitely the backup. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. But just to say that the redshirt freshman, however you wanted to classify what Preston Brown is, actually he's a sophomore since he played more than 4 games a season ago, may be finding his way out of the field. That's a question that I asked Tim Polisic, and now with the eligibility rules being different, I think you're definitely going to see number 0 out there. But as for Trey Drake, who's entering his 4th year at North Dakota State, eager for an enhanced role, certainly now maybe to be the backup quarterback. We'll talk football with him in a minute, but obviously the big news in his life is the fact that he got engaged a couple weeks ago. And we had Avery Coonan come by, I want to say a week and a half ago, in studio to chat about her side of the engagement. When we were up at practice last week, we had a chance to visit with the native of Jamestown, New York. That's western New York, just south of Buffalo, to get his how this all went down and how everything was executed. So here's my interview with Bison quarterback Trey Drake.
I got to take partial credit for this, but tell me the first meet with her and you go from there.
Yeah, Dom, you do got to take partial credit. Yeah, man, I mean, Avery and I met back, obviously, our freshman year on your show. We've known each other since our freshman year just through, friends that we've had together in the dorms and things like that. And, yeah, just, being a part of, just the freshman atmosphere on campus was awesome. That's Avery and I kind of started our relationship there. And then ended up coming back to each other, probably about this time last year. And then we, officially started dating. So, yeah, I guess technically, our first date might have been, our freshman year or so. But then, yeah, through God's providence, we circled back to each other. So
I know I've seen you at basketball games. I haven't seen her at football. When has she always gone, or is it that start last year?
No, I think she's always gone, yeah. I mean, all the athletic teams make it a priority to, come to and support all of us. So, yeah, no, she's definitely been around at football games. I know she came all last year, and she'll obviously be at as much as she can this year. So, yeah.
Tell me about what clicked, right away, even your freshman year, let alone before you started really dating.
Yeah, I think just between Avery and I genuinely feel like we're the same person. One, we have the same values, and the most important thing to us is our relationship with the Lord, so that clicked. And then, yeah, obviously athletics. I mean, she's everything I could possibly want in somebody, so that clicked for both of us. Yeah, athletics, family, I mean, our upbringing, everything. So it all just kind of came together, and eventually leading up to, this past couple months, we've been talking with, both of our, parents and closest ones to us about wisdom, on our matter, and just kind of came to the conclusion that, yeah, this is what we want, so let's make it the most important thing and make it a priority. So,
well, was there a moment, she's the one? I think this is it.
Yeah, for sure. It was this past, it was probably about this time last year when, we first started dating, is when it clicked. Yeah, I'm definitely going to date this girl, and, I'm going to marry this girl too. So, yeah, it's been kind of a long time coming. It might sound funny. I mean, contrary to probably a lot of other people's opinions in the world, it might seem a little too early or something like that. But, yeah, no, I mean, when you know, and everything has just clicked and everything's aligned for us to be together. So.
All right, so tell me the execution of what just went down this past week. Were you nervous?
Yeah, I was, for sure. I was totally nervous. But, man, I mean, preparation is kind of instilled in me as a quarterback, right? So, just kind of tried to prepare for it, set some things up, and was able to execute the plan. Yeah, my sister came up, and she was awesome, was able to just help with everything and the engagement, the proposal. And then we had a photographer that's one of Avery's friends also. Ellie Colbeck played basketball at NDSU last year. So she was a part of it. And yeah, I mean, the plan was laid out like a couple weeks in advance. And it just ended up coming to fruition a week later, and like everything was laid out perfect. You know, it was perfect weather. The place was just beautiful, and yeah, everything worked out, and it was an awesome evening.
So you told me you had a diversion of, hey, we're going to go for a walk. She knew something was up but didn't know the end result. Were you worried at all about the ultimate answer?
No, not at all. Not at all. I wasn't worried about that at all. Just because, I mean, we've talked about it for so long, and she's been kind of nudging me on it. So, you know, her and I have kind of joked about it, and like we knew it's a reality and it's coming soon. So I wasn't worried about the answer at all. But yeah, I mean, once we got to it, like I said, it all just ended up being perfect. And yeah, thank the Lord she said yes.
Did you want to do it before fall camp? Did you ever, like, I want to, knowing full well what you had in front of you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I kind of like told her a little white lie that it was going to kind of be pushed towards the fall or like later in the season. And, you know, that's what she was kind of hoping for and thinking for. And yeah, behind the scenes, I've just been kind of trying to work everything out, knowing that I kind of want to get it done before fall camp, just because of the busyness that we have in the fall. Obviously, you know, 31 days of camp. And then, you know, once we're in preparation week to week, it gets pretty busy. You know, it's 24/7, 7 days a week. So, yeah, I kind of wanted to get it done just before then, just so we can kind of get that out of the way and not have that weighted stress kind of going into fall camp, and just to, you know, play loose and free.
What was it like meeting with the guys? Did anybody know on the team that you were going to do it?
Yeah, I was actually kind of worried that it was going to get leaked a little bit. Just because I started telling some guys, and some other people ended up finding out. But the funny thing about that is we have quite a few guys on our team that are engaged. I mean, Victor Isley is married. I'm engaged. Luke Kokat's engaged. Alex Elliott's engaged. He's getting married this season on a bye week. So, I mean, there's been a lot of guys who have, like, kind of taken this route. And a lot of guys have obviously known about it, found out about it, but it's just kind of, you know, like a teammate should, just keep it hush-hush for when we can. So,
what was the reaction? And the guys know Avery. What was the reaction of when you told them, or something saw it on?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it was just awesome, I guess, kind of to see just like the support that we have from just both of our teammates. I mean, her as well. I mean, they threw like a surprise birthday dinner, or surprise like engagement dinner for her just a few nights ago. So that was cool to see. And then, yeah, obviously, I mean, all my teammates were ecstatic, and it just seemed like from the reaction we kind of got on social media that everybody was supporting it. So, yeah.
She told me she was surprised by that. Were you? Like the outpouring from people that don't know you. That, this is a big deal.
Yeah, I kind of was too, honestly. I didn't really expect that. I mean, I know it was kind of posted all over. It's kind of hard not to look at those things, but yeah, it is great just to see that, you know, the community, our teammates, and everybody outside has just kind of rallied around and supported that too. And I mean, that's ultimately what you want out of a community, out of people. And yeah, like I said, our teammates have been awesome, and it's just been great to, you know, kind of pour into younger guys too, and just, you know, be like an example of, you know, a relationship that is going the right way. So yeah, it's been awesome.
Talk football here. Tell me about being an old man. Your fourth year here, now be the backup quarterback. How's that role suit you now, knowing you're a play away from getting in?
Yeah, for sure. It's honestly crazy just, you know, entering my fourth fall camp. It seems like just yesterday I was a freshman, but, you know, without the cliche sayings, you know, it's just been such an honor to be able to be in a room with these guys. Our quarterback room is, I'd argue that it's the best in the country. And the relationship that I have with Nathan, the relationship that I have with Preston, Xander, and now Henry too, is unbelievable. And so, you know, we're just trying to compete with each other, push each other, and ultimately nothing really changes. I mean, I'm still preparing like I'm going to be the guy that week. Nathan's doing the same, Preston's doing the same. I mean, everybody in our room is preparing like they're going to be the starter that week, regardless of where we are at, you know, on the depth chart. So just kind of leaning into that and just understanding that, you know, it's our preparation that leads us to that point. And yeah, like I said, I mean, it's an honor to be here and in this position, and I'm just glad that we're able to continue to push each other through and fight together. And one thing I like about our room too is it's not like egotistic, or it's not one guy trying to fight for the spot. We're all rallying around each other, and we genuinely hope the best for each other. So that's what I've enjoyed about the experience in our quarterback room.
What are you trying to take out of this month? Say, okay, to make myself ready to go if the time comes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to prove that I understand the preparation that it takes. I think for me, it's just being very consistent right now, showing that going into the season of backup quarterback, what you want is consistency. What you want is making the easy throws, making the right checkdowns, making the right identifications, and in the pass game protection wise. So I'm just trying to prove that solidifying myself there. And yeah, just taking what the defense gives me, and just playing my game. Try to go out worry-free, and just play me, and the rest will just fall in line.
Good stuff there with Trey Drake. Appreciate that was before practice last week, and discussed obviously everything that went down. A huge deal in his life, and it's funny he mentioned the other guys that either married or engaged. If you missed our conversation that we had with Victor Isley on Friday, go back. He was fantastic, as we talked about. That he got married this offseason and was really, really good, really thoughtful on it, beyond anyone of 22, 23 years old, to discuss the major commitment that he made. And you heard Trey make that Alex Elliott, linebacker from Hutchinson, Minnesota, who transferred in from the University of Minnesota, is getting married during the bye week, I believe in September, which continues a tradition that goes back to, I want to say, James Kaiser, I think, started it in 2021 and has now been replicated a few times over here. Most notably last year, Logan Kopp got married during the Bison football season. That now Alex Elliott will continue that tradition as well. So congratulations to Trey and to Avery, and we'll see what transpires there. Obviously we say a backup quarterback, you're one play away from getting in the game. Young man that's bided his time and recruited almost. I remember when the day he was on, it's ironic that he was on Beyond Crazy the same day that Avery was, that he came out here for a QB camp. Mike Peters, former Bison offensive assistant, had connections. I believe Mike was from out there, if I remember correctly, and he was on staff then in 2022 when Trey came out here for his visit and went to the camp, got an offer. They committed later that day or before on his flight back, and because that's not typically an area the Bison get to, is New York, let alone that part of the state of Western New York. And now potentially we'll see what playing opportunities come his way. Appreciate his time on a really fun story going on up at NDSU. All right, we're overdue for a break. We'll get caught up here. We'll wrap up our first hour. Big second hour coming. MSUM's QB commit for 2027 will join us. We'll check in Grand Forks as well as we roll on in a Monday morning edition of Hot Mic, which returns after this. All right, wrapping up our first hour. Appreciate Trey Drake's time there. Big second hour coming up. Vikings held their annual night practice last night. Initial responses out of that seemed to be that nobody played well in terms of the quarterbacks. That J.J. McCarthy started well, didn't end great. Kyler Murray did not play particularly well at all throughout the entirety of last night's practice. So we are steamrolling towards the opening preseason game on Saturday. The Vikings are traveling to play the Giants Saturday. And I don't know how much either one of these guys are going to play. If they're going to play, Kevin O'Connell has been pretty tight-lipped on everything. I still think we're a ways away from a decision. I think that doesn't come until after the second preseason game. I think they have their joint practices with the Ravens a week from now. And then we may get some clue into who's going to be the starting quarterback for the opener against Green Bay coming up in the middle of September. But evidently, reports from last night from Egan were it was very disjointed at the quarterback play for both players, which has been the consistent storyline surrounding this position since they started camp a couple weeks ago, is that one guy would have a good practice, the other wouldn't. Then he'd flip it. One guy was, he was okay in the red zone or maybe 7-on-7, and then the other guy that was good the day before. And that just – Kyler Murray has needed more time with this offense, and I'm not sure if it's come yet. And maybe he needs more throughout the rest of training camp. Again, everything has been tilted in the way that Murray is going to be the guy come the start of the season, but nothing is assured of that yet. Again, I think all of us are under the mindset that he's going to be the starting quarterback when the Vikings take the field to start the 2026 campaign, but it has not flashed in a way that maybe some were hoping that would have transpired by now, that he would just be completely blow you away with unbelievable athleticism, rolling out of the pocket, making deep throws to Justin Jefferson, or hitting Jordan Addison down the field, or Juwan Jennings. That is not transpired, at least according to the stuff that we've seen and read that have happened through the first 2+ weeks out of, I was almost going to say Mankato, out of Egan to start things. That would have made this easy. Instead, it's exactly what we thought it would be, where neither one has particularly blown either one away. It's just, I think we went into it with that Murray was going to be the guy regardless, and it would take something, I don't know if catastrophic is the right word, but just something really egregious for him not to be the guy. And everything that has transpired since that has started, I don't think has reinforced either opinion. Like last night from everything, and I know why teams don't do this, but it'd been nice to have some live video of that going on last night. Granted, there's plenty of teams complaining about fans taking video at training camp. If we have time, I want to get into that, because one guy lost his job because he didn't follow the rules of what goes down at camp, which is just shake my head over that. If we have time, we'll do that later in the show. Let's break. We come back. Thor Soukup will join us from Wayzata, Minnesota, about committing to play football for the Dragons in 2027. We'll chat about that. The Trojans' expectations matching up with the Spuds. It's all coming up when we start hour 2 of Hot Mic right after this.
This is Hot Mic with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
All right, everyone, underway, second hour. Tom Miller from the Grand Forks Herald will join us in about a half hour's time. He's up at UND football practice. Get an update on what's going on with the Fighting Hawks 2+ weeks into camp. Also, Bruce Feldman has his top 100 freaks list out. UND has a guy on that list. We'll chat about that coming up later on in the show. But we had Coach Steve Lockway join us, I think it was a week ago today, because the Dragons were getting ready for the start of fall camp. They play their first game in, 19 days, because they play on, or 17 days, excuse me. They play on that Thursday night to open up the season with Northern Michigan. They have been hot on the recruiting trail here. We talked with plenty of the local guys they got. Now they went into the Twin Cities to find their quarterback commit for the class of 2027. Guy we've seen up here play last year. Wayzata's Thor Soukup joins us here to start our second hour. He announced over the weekend that he will play football for Minnesota State University Moorhead next season. But first, he's got to talk about his 2026 Wayzata Trojans. It's great to see you, bud. Congratulations. Give us the scoop on the Dragon pitch. Why was MSUM the fit for you?
Hey, Dom. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on. I'm excited for this. But I think the number one thing it comes down to is MSUM's coaching staff. I've been in communication with Coach Check for about 2 years now, I would say. He's been at camps and stuff like that. I've been all over. And also what he's done was really cool. So I do a winter training program. It's about once a week. It's called the 612 Academy. And both years he came down and he was like a guest speaker. So he would come into the film room with us, go through film, stuff like that. And he'd come out to the field and help coach. And that was really when I saw the first glimpse of him. And just since then, we've been in such a great communication. And just the way he's treated me, the way he's taught me, the way he coaches just fits so well with me. And then it came all the way up until now. Right when I went onto campus for my visit, it wasn't just him that was just excellent coach. It was the whole coaching staff. You could feel the culture. You could feel the love. It was just it was just it was a good brotherhood that I felt from the whole coaching staff.
How much did you know, Thor, about MSUM prior to this? Did you know anything, or was this all finding out on the fly, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, just like everyone else, I knew about Jack Strand. I knew how big of an arm he was, how big of a talent he was. I followed him going into the draft also. So, I mean, just like everyone else, I knew a lot about Jack Strand.
And the fact that the Dragons throw the ball almost every down, as a quarterback,
Yes,
that's got to be appealing as well, I imagine.
Exactly.
What about their offense when you were visiting with Coach Check, with Coach Lockway, say, okay, I can see myself playing at that school?
I think the main thing is just like the flexibility of their offense. Coach Check talked about, hey, I want to be the best coach I can be, but I also don't want to be, hey, this is how we're going to do it and this is how it's going to be. He wants to communicate with his quarterbacks and figure things out on the fly together. I think my football IQ paired with Coach Check's is just going to be a really fun time, just going into quarterback room, just going into the film room, just talking things over. He's going to see how I looked at things. I'm going to see how he looked at things. It's just going to be a fun time just working through the offense together. I think that's the main thing, is just how he incorporates his quarterbacks and their comfortability in this offense. And obviously that's really successful. You see Jack Strand, like, they did what he was comfortable with, and he was able to excel in their offense.
To have a school like that likes to throw, and obviously just produced a guy who's getting first-team reps with the Atlanta Falcons, is this not necessarily a slam dunk, but okay, if they offer me, I'm going to strongly consider them. Was that your thought process?
Yes, sir, exactly. I think looking at it, like, Jack Strand is just a testament to what their coaching staff is like. I think their coaching staff just develops quarterbacks really well in general. Obviously, Jack Strand is the model for that, but at the end of the day, he is just an outcome of their coaching staff. I'm not looking to go be the next Jack Strand or anything like that. I'm looking to go be myself and be the next Thor Soukup, or the first Thor Soukup. So I'm excited to see how they work with me and how I work with them. I'm excited to pour myself into their program because I know that their coaching staff is going to pour themselves into me.
QBs, recruits, it goes through a lot. Just can you describe this whole recruiting process when it started and just how exhausting this has been over the last couple of years?
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy, I would say. As a quarterback, you think about the recruiting process for any other position, but as a quarterback, just the stress is tenfold to that. So I've been in this recruiting situation for, I'd say, about probably 2 years. I started about 2 years ago going to my first camps and stuff like that, and since then it's just been a grind. There's so many staffs that have said one thing one year, and then the next year, like, it's a whole new staff. So it's like there's that now, and also just trying to get myself in front of people, and just trying to get people to believe in me, try to get people to see my talents. And I think that's where MSUM came in really well. They believed in me, they committed to me, and they are just believing in my talents, unlike any other program.
Thor, how exhausting may not be the right word, but just you're going to school, you're obviously playing during the fall, but then during recruiting season you're getting messages every day or phone calls every day. How do you handle doing that still as a high school kid?
Yeah, I mean it's a lot for sure, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I love to stay busy. I hate when I'm just sitting around, stuff like that. I'm a dual sport athlete. I play both football and lacrosse, so my winters are actually pretty open. I fill my winters up with trainings and stuff like that. And during the winter, I'm like, can I just do something more? Because I'll have a couple hours off. It's just like, golly, I just want to do something. But I think I manage things really well, just because my natural desire is just to be busy and just to compete all the time. So I think it mixes into my personality well, being a quarterback and being in the situation I have to be in, because I want that, and when I'm given that, I take it on.
I know whenever anybody goes to these camps, obviously they're in front of college coaches. They all want to perform well and do well. It seems to me quarterback is amped up even more because everybody is watching what you're doing. How do you handle the nerves when you go to a big camp and you know there's 5 or 6 Division I schools there?
Yeah, for me, I just trust my preparation. I know that I put countless hours before camps. I don't just go to camps just unprepared. I've worked years and years for this, and I believe that I'm built for these situations. So I just go out there. I trust my preparation. I trust that God's put me in this situation and God's going to give me out of it what he wants. So I just trust his path and I trust my preparation. And I just go there and be myself. That's how I think of it.
So I know last year did not go the way you wanted, win-loss record-wise at Wayzata. We saw some of your highlights here from when you came up and played the Spuds. I was at that game. I was just talking to you off air. That was a fabulous game with star players all over the place. How eager are you just to say, okay, new year, we're going to win some ball games in 2026?
Yeah, 100%. Like I said earlier, like we're returning a lot of talented players. And with Coach Lamker coming in, just the credit I've given to him, just how he's reshaped the program. The biggest thing was just culture-wise. He came in and just installed like a culture of like, hey, I don't care about anything. Like this year we're gonna win. It's like everything we're gonna do is we're gonna win at it. We're gonna execute. We're gonna compete. We're gonna dedicate ourselves to winning. And it's shown throughout the winter, throughout the spring, and especially through the summer. It's been a grind, and all my teammates is just like we've grinded together. We're coming together really well as a team. I just think our execution is just top notch. It's tenfold compared to last year, and a lot of credit, like I said, is to Coach Lamker, but also we have a lot of talented players, and I'm excited to compete alongside my senior brothers this year. It's been a long high school career. I feel like it, but at the same time, I feel like yesterday I was a freshman, so finally now I get the opportunity to lead the team alongside my brothers. So I'm super excited for that opportunity.
I want to talk about Coach Lamker here in a second, but it's been a tumultuous, is maybe the right way, off season. Obviously, your coach left to go another job. One of your best players is at Shakopee now. I'm interested. You deal with. I mean, we're dealing with it, Thor, in college. We hear all the time guys transferring. It's happening way more in high school. You're right in the center of it. How do you guys handle that, knowing friends of yours are going to go play somewhere else this fall?
Yeah, I think the main thing is just focus on what we have and what we can replace. I think, yeah, you said we lost one of our better receivers, but the receivers that replaced him are top notch. We have some really, really good athletes that have been so fun to throw to this offseason. And I'm excited for you. I'm excited for everyone else to see, like, these guys are dogs and they make plays. And I feel like even when I don't throw the best ball, like, I can trust these guys go get it, all three of them. So they've been really good. We've replaced them really well, and I think we have really good athletes all across the field. And like you said, with that, just the stress of not knowing who's going to be here next year. Yeah. It's like it's the same thing coming in. Like we have a player coming in that's going to be a good talent for us, and then we have a guy returning from injury, Eli Diane. He's a Gopher commit, so he wasn't there last year, so that he was a big loss for us just because of injury. But coming in this year, I mean, dude, I walk into the weight room, I'm like, I do not want to get tackled by this guy. It's like I'm not excited for team sessions. I hope he takes it easy on me because, man, he is a beast. So I'm excited to see what he does to opposing QBs.
That's not just adding just an ordinary player that you're getting back for
100%
for this upcoming fall. We're experiencing up here, Thor, for the first time where there are transfers happening in high school football, and I think it's a kind of sticker shock for people up here. But you can speak to this maybe even with your own school. This is frequent in the Twin Cities, correct? I mean, there are guys hopping all over the place now.
I think the number one thing it comes down to is just these, and I don't blame the kids. These kids just want to compete at the level that they see fit for them. Some of them aren't getting the best opportunities at their school. Some of them want to play at a higher level. And yeah, it's a little complex for high school, of course, but you can't blame them just because I feel like they're only trying to do what's best for them. I feel like obviously it's gotten a little crazy at some schools, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. So you're just gonna have to go out in there and compete the best you can.
I want to talk lacrosse. How much does that help you in football and vice versa? How much does football help you in lacrosse?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna focus on how lacrosse helps me in football because over the past few years, even though I love lacrosse, that's kind of how I've seen it. Like every time I go out there, I'm becoming a better athlete. But lacrosse has just been, I would say it's been huge in developing my athletic side of being a quarterback. Just the spatial awareness and the quick decision-making you have to make as a lacrosse player. Like right when you make a move and you beat your guy, there's another guy coming to slide for you. You got to make a decision right away. Either move the ball, roll back, make another move, shoot it. Like you got to do something with it. So I think just the improvising and the reaction time and those type of things of being an athlete are so important as a quarterback because it's quick decision makes, it's second decision makes, and it kind of correlates with lacrosse, even though it's not as much reading the defense. It's just more like reaction. You got to react to this, get rid of the ball. So it's kind of like quarterback, and I would say it's helped me a lot just being a reactive athlete.
Was that anything you consider going down that path, lacrosse, or has it always been football?
Yeah, I did consider it. So about 2 years ago, I was in a really good situation with lacrosse. I had some very high-level D1 interest. I went out to a camp at Notre Dame for lacrosse and was getting looks from them. But as time went on, I just stopped doing as much lacrosse just because my heart is just so much in football. I have so much passion to be a football player. Like I tell Coach Check, I tell my parents, I tell my friends, like I feel like my calling is to be a quarterback. I look back at the situations I've been put through, the way I was raised, the athletic abilities I was given. It all meshes together so perfectly for me to be a good quarterback. And at the end of the day, I just feel like that's God's purpose. The reason he blessed me with all that is just to go out there and be the best quarterback I can be. And that also gives me a dedication. Like every single day I think about that. Like a way for me to praise God and praise the gifts that he's given me is, hey, I'm going to go give him 100% with my trainings and 100% on becoming the best quarterback I can be.
All right. So I got to ask you here on we've had a couple of your rivals on, a couple of guys from Minnetonka have been on. I'm interested, when you heard Moorhead was coming up to 6A, what was your initial thoughts? Like, okay, we got a long bus trip to go play, obviously.
Yeah.
What were your initial thoughts when you heard the Spuds were coming to 6A football?
Yeah, that was definitely the first thought. Like, man, that's going to be a fun bus ride out there. I hope we get a home game out. And then when I found out we were away, I was like, oh, man. But no, so that was the first thought. But also the second is just they're a great program. Obviously, they've succeeded in 5A very well. And their first year at 6A was amazing. They're a great program. And they got a lot of great players. Their coaching staff is really good. After the game last year, Coach Feeney came up to me and he just like, hey, man, like, you're a competitor. Like, we loved how you compete. And it's fun to play against you. And I thought the same. And it's like man, a team like that with all that talent is just, I can't wait to play. Like I love to compete. I love to compete against the best. I don't like to win by a lot. I want to be against the best. I want to play against the best. So looking at Moorhead, like that's going to be a fun game just because I'm excited to compete and put a 100% effort into that game.
Well, they're coming to your place, and obviously there's a lot of expectations around them. What do you make of getting them in your place this year?
Yeah, like I said, they have a lot of talented players, and they're bringing in a couple new, so it should be a good squad. But at the end of the day, I think what we're focusing on is just being the best versions of ourselves we can be. We're going to control our controllables. We can't really control who we play. We can't control what happens on the field. Like, all we can control is how we prepare, and I feel like the way we've prepared so far and the way we're going to continue to prepare is going to put us in a really, really good spot for that game. And I trust our coaching staff. I trust my teammates to the fullest extent, and I'm really excited to compete in that game.
Well, it goes without saying, because when I saw who Moorhead was going to be placed with, I'm like, holy cow, these are the heavy hitters. Because I look at your schedule, you have a Edina and Moorhead coming to your place. You got to go to Minnetonka and a Maple Grove. I mean, what is this like, Thor, on a weekly basis? We got to experience it last year for the first time where, I mean, there are unbelievable players every week. There's no let-up.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of the Lake Conference.
Yeah.
I mean, our conference is just filled with heavy hitters. And I played at Maple Grove my freshman and sophomore year, and we were in the Northwest Suburban Conference there. We played Anoka, Coon Rapids, and, yeah, it was fun beating them by 40. But at the end of the day, it's like, hey, we're not getting that much better through our games. But now, like, playing the Lake Conference is just so fun to get out there and compete. You know you have to bring your best every single week, no matter what. Like, you could be playing an STMA who's not as good as the others, but it's still, like, they're a great team, a great program. You're going to have to bring your best. So every week, it helps you to prepare every week, and it helps you to be your best.
Last thing before we go here, you're a week out before fall camp gets going. Do you get your feet up here, you're relaxing, or enjoying the last little bit, or are you back out working here later today?
No, sir, definitely not enjoying it. I mean, this 2 weeks has been brutal. I just can't wait to get back to football. Like I said earlier, me and my teammates have been on the field every other day. Like, we can't take a break. We're just so into football mode. We're so excited to compete. So we've been grinding over these 2 weeks, and we actually have a workout here in about 45 minutes that I'm excited to go to get some throwing in. So these guys, I love my team. I love my teammates. I'm so excited to compete with them come August 17th.
This was great, bud. I really appreciate you doing this. Congratulations. Have a great year.
Sir.
We'll look forward to seeing you play the Spuds in September. And congratulations on committing to the Dragons, okay?
Thank you. I appreciate your time. Have a good one.
There he is, Thor Soukup, joining us from Wayzata, Minnesota. He is the newest member of the Dragon class of 2027. Again, there's a little different edge out there on the recruiting trail for MSUM. Steve Lockway talked about it last week when he was on the show about what they're able to sell, what they're able to offer now, especially when you're, scrolling through social media or you're watching on television, and the Atlanta Falcons quarterback situation currently has their Dragon quarterback getting number 1 reps or number 2 reps in training camp. That's a different deal that you're able to go and sell recruits on. Soukup had a bunch of interest from both Division I and Division II schools, and he's coming up this way. 6'2", 225, big kid who can throw. You saw that highlight reel that we put together from the game that we televised against Moorhead back last September. And I can speak this. He and Jackson Brown is the guy that I was referring to. Jackson Brown, his dad, Lambert, was the longtime head coach at Wayzata. They left after the season. He took an assistant job at Shakopee. Jackson transferred. He's one of the 6 transfers that went to Shakopee. We talked about this when Feeney was here a couple weeks ago, that Moorhead isn't alone. I know it's sticker shock for everybody up here. The Spuds added as much as they did. Shakopee added 6 guys, 1 from Wayzata, 1 from Brainerd. I mean, they're coming from all over the place to get some super teams that we're going to see how that pans out in a not too distant future. All right, let's break. We'll take a couple minutes off here when we come back. We got a few emails coming in. Also an update. The college football playoff expansion is back on the docket. That and much more when Hot Mike returns after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. So I put a moratorium on this subject because I didn't want to talk about it anymore because it just is like beating your head up against a wall. But it's become relevant now after North Dakota State's move to the Mountain West Conference in FBS football on the college football playoff and expansion chatter, because it's been something that's been debated about literally now for almost 3 years. Even after we expanded to 12, they were looking to change it right away. We went to 12 2 years ago for the 24 season. And as soon as that happened, like, oh, we gotta add more. And now we've been in this twilight zone over the last, I'd say, 24 months on wanting to add more, whether 16, which I thought we had some consensus on, and then the Big Ten went and blew that up, said, no, we want 24. And so we've been stuck there for the last, I'd say, year. Because there was an attempt, we could have expanded for this season, the 26th season, we could have gone to 16. That deadline came and went without any consensus. And now there are executives meeting today virtually to further explore expansion. This is from Ross Dellinger. Leaders continue to focus on a 16 and 24-team models with growing momentum for a larger field. No decision is expected, and the debate is likely to continue into the fall. He added that ESPN, the rights holders of the playoff, is socializing with CFP leaders a 16-team format with 4 play-in games for the final 4 spots into the field, seats 13 through 16. There is an expectation that it will be discussed during today's meeting. Now, why today is important is because the actual media representatives are going to be there and tell the commissioners about how much potential money could be on the table. Now, ESPN apparently has let it known they don't want to expand. ESPN has the exclusive rights to it. That's why. Now, already they've had to sublicense games out to Turner, ESPN that is, because this coming year you'll see a couple of first-round games will be on TNT. That was the case last year. I want to say the year before as well. The last 2 years the TNT has had games. Instead, this year, though, it's not just the first round. A couple of the quarterfinal games will be out to TNT, and a semifinal game will be on TNT this year. But ESPN's still getting some cash for that from Turner. If you go to 16, if you go to 20, I've now heard, if you go to 24, ESPN says we can't do all that. With all the other obligations we have, with all the other bowl games, we're going to have to, we couldn't do that. And that's why we don't want to do it, because they don't want to share with Fox, because they'd be getting lesser piece of the pie than what they're getting now from the CFP. Whether it's Fox or NBC, Netflix, who knows? Article, this is from On3, says, no decisions are expected today, but sources tell On3 that Monday's meeting could be a critical juncture. As leaders continue to debate the right model for CFP expansion, TV consultants are expected to present data on the value of expanded playoff models. The hope from leaders is to get clarity on which networks will be willing to bid on extra CFP inventory and how much those networks might be willing to pay. Now, you also got to tell me when the games are going to happen, because Fox and CBS have NFL obligations. We know at that time of the year, the NFL starts playing on Saturdays as well. It's going to happen again this year where the NFL is going head-to-head with the first round of the CFP. So unless we're moving everything up, which we're starting to do next year, I don't know how much they can get into it. The driving reason behind commissioners and CFP leaders waiting on media projections is the proposed 24-team CFP model being discussed across the sport and heavily backed by the ACC, the Big 12, and the Big 10 would likely eliminate conference championship games. SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey has repeatedly doubled down on the fact that the SEC has prior television commitments, which is not a small amount of money, $200 to $250 million. This one from Dellinger is interesting. Socializing with CFP leaders, a 16-team format with 4 play-in games for the final 4 spots into the field for seeds 13 through 16. That's interesting. So you're adding more games there, too. That was socialized a while ago. Remember, they were going to have games that would pit, so, the whatever team, like use the Big Ten, for example, like, 1 versus 2 would play. The winner of that gets the 1 seed, or the 4 versus 5, if I remember right. That was one of the ideas that was floated around on conference championship weekend, because that would give more inventory for networks to build on, because it's all about money on that. That's the first time I've heard of that. 4 play-in games for the final 4 spots into the field for seeds 13 through 16. Again, there's no decision coming out, but it's relevant on what the access is for the group of 6. We imagine they're not going to get more than the 1. And remember, it's different starting this year. Now it's the highest-ranked conference champion that gets that group of 6 spot. That is different than it has been in the past. Obviously, you saw that Tulane and James Madison made it into the field last year when the field at 12. We'll pass along any prescient updates that may come out of this over the next half hour and certainly tomorrow on the show. Let's break. We come back. We'll head north to Grand Forks as UND is in the midst of fall camp. We'll get an update from Tom Miller on how things are going with the Fighting Hawks just over 2 weeks away from game number 1. That's coming up when we return after this.
This is Hot Mic with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Final half hour here on a busy Monday show. As we steamroll our way through now it's the dog days of fall camp. They're going on both in Fargo and Grand Forks. UND's opener is 17 days out for the Fighting Hawks, matching up with the Sharks of Long Island will come calling to take on UND. Our guy Tom Miller joins us from just outside UND practice today, parts unknown like the Ultimate Warrior, to give us an update. We said we'd check in a couple weeks after fall camp is gone. So there's the question. 2 weeks in, what do we make of how things have gone so far?
Yeah, 2 weeks in, position battles start to solidify. The things you see one day, if you start seeing them here and there, you can kind of consider them a theme rather than just a random occurrence. So by day 10, like it is now, I feel like you're learning a little bit less every day and kind of just having an understanding on where they sit.
running back is one that jumps out to me. We talked about that last time you were on because that was a spot they needed to replace. Who seems to be the leader in the clubhouse, in your opinion?
Yeah, it looks like Matt Lawson would probably be the leader of that group right now. He's got a background at Illinois State, had that good freshman year. Then he kind of redshirted that next season at Illinois State, comes here. And he reminds me of Isaiah Smith, who played for UND a couple years ago, in the sense that really natural pass catcher out of the backfield. Strong kid. But I think he's got kind of an upbringing from a slot receiver perspective where I think they're going to utilize him, quite a bit in that screen type game. And I think there's a lot of different things you can do with him. And so I'd say he's the front runner. Charles Langama will get a long look, the young man from Maple Grove. Colton Burnell will mix in as well. And then there's kind of an intriguing fourth dark horse who's big body kid out of Minot, Griffin Broderick, who's he came in just with a really rugged body type. I see him in practice and I thought, this kid's a linebacker. What is he doing here? And then I think, second fall camp now, he's kind of streamlined his body a little bit more and maybe gotten more comfortable at running back. And he's got some traits that are Brady Oliveira-like and just very, very strong base, tough to bring down. Wouldn't be surprised if we see him like a goal line type kid.
I have to ask you wrote about this in your observations from Saturday at the Herald's website. You can check it out now, GrandForksHerald.com. The Beaver twins out of Kearney, Missouri, were high-profile guys that UND got. Are they planned, or is it assumed that they're going to play this fall?
Yeah, I just asked Tyson Maiva, the defensive tackles coach for UND, that late last week, and you think you see something, and then you like to ask a position coach to make sure they're seeing what you're seeing. And so, I keep looking down and seeing 44 and 92, and they play them together all the time as well, which I think is kind of funny, interesting. But I keep checking my roster sheet at nice plays by 44 and 92. So, Coach Maiva said, kind of the old coach speak, but they keep it up. They'll be playing on Saturdays, which I think they'll start Logan Eckert and Albany transfer Kylan Macklin at D tackles, but I think the Beaver twins are going to get a lot of run.
Wow.
And they just make plays every day. They're in the backfield a heck of a lot.
The fact they're true freshmen playing that spot, that's almost unheard. Elijah Wayne did it this past season at North Dakota State. You got to be athletically special, Tom, to stand out and play at defensive tackle as a true freshman.
Yeah, I feel like especially in the Dakotas, a lot of times those tackles, you bring them in at 6'2", 250, and, you put 30 pounds on them, and then maybe they're ready to play. Where, the Beaver twins coming in at 6'2", 280, their frames are pretty filled out. And so, it's an interesting situation where they went from extremely thin at nose tackle a year ago to almost a position of strength here right now.
How's linebacker looking? That was another, when you last joined us a couple weeks ago, as a spot you were chatting about. How's that played out for the first couple weeks from what you've seen?
Yeah, I think it's still a concern. I think, Michael Devereaux and Ethan Bowl will be the starters. They give them a little bit of a baseline of expectations. But after that, it's still a mystery. Nate Applegate came in, and he's got a frame as a true freshman that I think could help them pretty quick. Jake Starcevic is pushing in that spot. Redshirt freshman Gabe Anderson, whose brother was really successful in Northern Iowa. He's showing some signs of being ready to play there. So if I had to guess right now, I'd say that Anderson and Applegate would get the most run. And, I think it's a position where UND's schedule maybe is not the strongest in the front half of the year. And that's a position that's maybe very beneficial that's the case.
You see some guys rotating there and through those first couple games to maybe find something by the time the Huskers game comes on the schedule?
Yeah, I think so. Because I think what's limiting, they just have an age gap right now between Devereaux's old and Bowles older, and everybody else is super young that's in that mix. And so if they're one of their biggest hurdles, apart from weight gain, would be just live reps, game reps. And if you can achieve those in in games you're expected to win here, I think that might be a good way to build this thing if you're Eric Schmidt.
You wrote on Saturday as well, Shanley kid, Vicuri Hakeem had a really nice day at practice. Is he angling to get more reps at wide receiver, potentially?
Yeah, very interesting. Talking about him today, he had another good day today.
Yeah.
He struggled to win 50-50 balls, and at 6'3" with a basketball background, that needed to be his strength. And it was just it was something where he was going to be a guy who was going to be used on special teams. And, there's been practices this fall where I thought, well, maybe it's more. They're going to play Dang Goodlow and Corey Ty, and I think that those three are going to eat up a lot of your reps. And after that, maybe Hakeem can get into that mix. You're going to see some different guys at the 4 and the 5, and right now it's kind of a battle of attrition. They've been a little banged up at wide receiver with some minor things. Jimmy Maxson has had a day or two where he's been good in that role, and he was out today. So they're looking for guys, the opportunities there for Hakeem to step in.
So today, Bruce Feldman put out his freaks list, which is the top 100 just athletic freaks all around college football. Coming in number 75 is one Trace Thaden, left tackle, University of North Dakota, that was a great player last year, starting left tackle, bound for big things. Just describe for people that haven't seen him and don't focus on offensive line, Tom, what stands out to you when you see him out there athletically that gets him a spot on this list?
Yeah, I think it reminds me a little bit about like Donnie Ventrelli, who was an offensive lineman for UND a few years ago that has that tight end background. And I remember Danny Freund the first time he was here pointing out Thaden to me at practice, his first practice, and just saying, hey, if we get X amount of pounds on this guy, he's Matt Waletzko, who was the top offensive line guy at the time. And so he's always been in that vision. He's 6'7", darn near 6'8". And even at 250, it was just like, I don't think getting 50 pounds on this kid is going to be that hard. He just had the frame for it, and his younger brother's a prospect in the system as well. I just think that tight end background mix, once you put weight on somebody and you maintain some of that agility and athleticism, that's a great combo.
Not that he has to do a vertical often, do an offensive line, but have you seen his vertical jump is 32 inches. That's for a guy who weighs 305? Come on.
Yeah, that's wild, and he's got to be good this year for North Dakota to live up to some of these expectations. It's got to come down to the Bucks at center, Beecher at left guard, and Thaden at left tackle. That's a good place to start there for that offense.
I know we did a feature last week, Tom, on Caleb Olson, who I think we talked about last time you were on. How has his integration come back? Because he got hurt right away, game 1, and didn't play again last season.
Yeah, I think if Caleb Olson is at his level before the injury, there's not a question about who's starting, and there is a question about who's starting. So my interpretation of that is that he might not be or will ever be maybe what he was before his injury.
That's tough.
I think the question is it 80%? Is 80% of Caleb Olson able to get on the field in some capacity? And my guess is that a decent case scenario for UND is if you got to get through a game, he's a guy that has got a ton of experience. I just think it's unfortunate because he had turned into such a great leader and great spokesman for the program, the university. And for the kid's sake, I hope he's able to find himself a role.
That's too bad, considering he was really trending in an upward direction before the injury happened.
Yeah, I mean, he was when they first said, hey, we're going to roll with Caleb Olson, I thought he was still a defensive lineman. I thought they were in a heck of a lot of trouble. And turned out to be a fantastic offensive lineman. And like I said, was just a great spokesman and podium all-star.
Jerry Kaminsky goes without saying, but tell us what you've seen 2 weeks in of UND's starting QB.
I think there's a little bit less of the roller coaster that I had seen before. Last fall camp, it was kind of going back and forth. One day I'd say it's definitely Jerry Kaminsky, and the next day I'd say, oh, he's having a tough day, and Javance is having a nice day. Hey, maybe it's a combo type setup, or even is it Javance's show to run? And so I'm seeing less of that roller coaster that makes me question his season, and I think that comes with the progression you make from your sophomore, your junior year, and the confidence that he's collected in the offseason that he's had.
big observations here as we get ready for this week. Anything other positions you're looking at this week as we get closer to the opener in 2 weeks' time?
Yeah, I'd still like to hear more about their safeties. You know, they lost a ton of snaps between Zach Lewis, who was a great addition to that team a year ago, and Jai Martin, which leads me to the next. Jai Martin has been rumored to be interested in returning to UND, and so as the courts turn, we have an interesting situation in Grand Forks about Johnny Wiltshire and Avery Scott were both in practice today, going through drills, and their availability changes the outlook of that defense. Avery Scott's running with the corners now, so that could solidify an issue there because they need to find a fourth and a fifth.
Well, my last thing on that, I know we talked and there wasn't any resolution now, and Eric Schmidt told you that. Now they're back. Wiltshire and Scott are practicing. That was before the Colorado law judge threw everything up. So if this comes to fruition, all three of these guys are expected to, Jai Martin being the third, to play then this fall?
Yeah, and today I have to find out more about there's a few players who are interested. I need to find out if UND is mutually interested. Yeah. Yep. Financially, logistically, there's a lot to sort through when it comes to all of that. Johnny and Avery are more likely because they're already padded up. They got the TRO. They're awaiting their court dates. But they might get a double green light depending on what happens with this Colorado ruling. So that's fun to follow. Yeah. Good drama.
Playing a lawyer on TV, our guy Tom Miller. We appreciate that. Thanks as always, Bud. Be well, and we'll talk soon as we get closer to the opener, okay?
Sounds good. Take care, Dom.
There he is, Tom Miller from the Grand Forks Herald. Again, the update on the Colorado case, and we had Tim Polisic on, and I asked him about that. If you missed it, you can go back. That they don't have, North Dakota State does not have any players that have any eligibility remaining. These are players that played as a true freshman in 2022 that are now under this overturned case out of Colorado would suddenly now have eligibility. The NCAA has asked for an expedited ruling on it. They've appealed it. Whether that happens, I mean, we're 17 days out from games being played. That's separate from the Wiltshire and Scott cases where they've got a temporary restraining order to appeal and play for this upcoming year. I know it's makes you shake your head. I'm doing it right now of trying to follow everything because it's maddening. You just like to have one season where the rules are the same. That's what Polisic told me on Friday, and he couldn't be more right on that. All right, we'll take our final break. We'll come back. We'll put a bow on things and get you ready for pretty good Sports Monday as Hot Mike wraps on WDAY Extra right after this. All right, wrapping things up here on this Monday morning. Back with you tomorrow. We'll be checking in a couple of high school camps getting underway as North Dakota football practice will be a few days old. It got going on Thursday, so we're going to stop around a couple different visits around the state. That'll be on our program tomorrow. Anticipation of the first games coming soon, as in 11 days from now, August 21st. You see some of them on the ticker for that opening day of the high school season. Looking forward to that. We mentioned the Freaks list. North Dakota State has had guys on there. Bryce Lance was on it last year. Hunter Lipke was on it a few years ago, his senior season. This is an interesting stat. I read through it this morning for coming into the station. The Missouri Valley has 3 guys on that list. Mentioned Trace Thaden out of UND, Chase Mason from South Dakota State, quarterback, Desmiel Lee out of Youngstown, offensive lineman, who's a really good player, are on that list. All told, actually, if NDSU didn't move and they stayed with their FCS schedule, they would have faced 5 guys on that list. The 3 I just mentioned, Joshua Siles from Austin P and Trevion Traylor from Central Arkansas, because the Bison were set to play each of those schools. Bison were going to go to UCA and they were going to host Austin P this season. As it is, they're only facing 1. Darren Agu, outstanding defensive lineman from the University of New Mexico, is the only mention of the Mountain West opponents that the Bison will have in 2023. 26 on the Freaks list. Just thought that was interesting to know. Let's do some What to Watch before we get out of here. All right, What to Watch brought to us by our friends at Northwestern Mutual. Twins open up a new series with the Orioles tonight, 6:30 on Twins TV. Dean Kramer will be pitching against his old mates. That's tonight from Target Field. That North Dakota Little League team facing Wisconsin. You can check that out on ESPN+. North Dakota has to win to keep its hopes alive of trying to get to Williamsport. That's on ESPN+. Big one in the National League. Phillies and Cardinals coming up 6:30 on FS1 tonight. Our thanks to Trey Drake, to Thor Soukup, and to Tom Miller. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. Thanks so much for making us part of your day, everybody. Have a great start to your week. We'll see you back here tomorrow.